I got a phone call on the 19th of December, about 11 o'clock at night, that this was the night that they were coming to bust the camp and that I should come there to be a nonviolent witness.
People had all kinds of speculation as to what was going to happen. We hoped that they would respect the fact that we were nonviolent people, that we did not have any weapons, that we did not intend to do violence to anyone, that we were occupying this area out of a genuine moral belief that what was happening here was wrong.
The encampment was at 7 houses that the Minnesota Department of Transportation had condemned and forcibly taken from the people who lived there and planned to raise to build the highway.
The buildings on the site were due to be demolished on August 10th. That was the day that people decided to move in because we were determined that this road project had to be stopped.
Around 3 o'clock in the morning, someone drove up and said, "I was just at the airport. I counted 53 state patrol cars lined up at the airport." And so that got people moving a little more, and that kind of broke the calmness and quietness of a little bit. I noticed that Sam, Joe Hill, was getting himself into his lockdown position in the about 20-foot high tripod next to the middle house.
I was about 20 feet in the air, and I had a bike locked around my neck, which was fastening me to one of the poles of the tripod.
And there was a ladder up against the house, and I said, "Would you like somebody up on the roof next to you to be a witness from that point of view?" And he said that that would please him very much. So about 4:35, I think it was, a yellow Ryder truck came around the corner down at the end of the block, at the north end of the block, and I had been watching so that every time I had a better view than Joe on the tripod or the ground support people. So my role was, I was just looking, and when I saw anything anywhere, I said, "There's a car, there's a car," just to let people know what was coming down, because we knew something was coming. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was kind of surprised to see this yellow Ryder truck coming. It was like, part of my mind was thinking, who'd be moving at this time of day? It just didn't fit. It didn't take me long, however, to realize that the Ryder truck coming down the streets didn't have its lights on, and it wasn't the first. There were several Ryder trucks in a row, and that this was them. This was the police coming.
Then Ryder trucks, lots of Ryder trucks came in with their lights off. They came in very fast and crashed to a halt.
Garage door kind of thing on the back of the Ryder truck just shot up really fast, and soldiers exploded out of that truck like as fast as you could imagine them coming out. It's my understanding there were 30 soldiers in each of those trucks.
First they went for the people who were standing there on the ground.
They were all dressed in black, and they had helmets on, and they had assault rifles, and they had flashlights, and they just poured out of those trucks. And it wasn't like they poured out of those trucks and then wondered what to do. They all had very clear ideas. Some of them, it was clearly their role to smash whoever was on the ground. Anybody who was standing on the ground was tackled and smashed. And as I was on the roof, the police pretty much ignored me. They couldn't get up to where I was. They had plenty to keep them busy on the ground and in the houses. And amongst themselves, the police were saying things like, "A cherry picker is coming for them, don't worry about them."
They were going around breaking things, and they seemed to have removed everybody, and then a big knot of them formed around the base of the tripod, looking like they didn't know what to do. Then some of them came up. I heard one of them say, "Hey, I need about 4 people over here," and they came up and started shaking the tripod while I was still in it.
The support people who were handcuffed on the ground were telling those men that if they did that, they would kill Joe.
I shouted down at them, "I am locked down by the neck. That's not going to make me come down. That's going to kill me. Are you ready to kill me? So that you can build a highway." One of the cops looked up at me and said, "I don't care. Are you ready to die?" I didn't see any sense in answering that, so I didn't.
2 of them climbed up on the roof where I was. The first one up on the roof asked me if I was locked down, and I said no. And he asked me what I was doing, and I said I was being a witness for my friend Joe on the tripod. And he says, "Are you going to come down now?" And I said no. And then he pulls my glasses and my hat to the back of my head and holds a small canister, aerosol can, just a few inches away from my face, and pushes the button, starts to spray. I close my eyes tightly. He didn't like that I closed my eyes tightly. Then he holds my eyes open one at a time and puts a direct spray into each of them. And after that point, I was blind. I couldn't see a thing. They, of course, want me to get off the roof in my newly blinded condition. And in response to that, I went limp. And there were 2x4s nailed at about 3-foot intervals down the roof, and as footholds for someone climbing up or down the roof. And I was pretty gruffly shoved from one 2x4 to the next. The whole time they were spraying more mace in my face, in my nose, and in my mouth. And the mace itself, or I don't know if mace is the technical word for what they used some kind of red pepper spray. It burned in my eyes like red pepper would. And they used a lot of it, but it was in this liquid, and the liquid had some kind of carrier that smelled like petroleum distillates, which I know to be a very toxic thing. They were spraying that in my nose and in my mouth. It was really quite ugly. There was a line of cops shoulder to shoulder all the way from 54th Street to 53rd, and it's Riverview is at a diagonal there, so it's longer than a regular city block. How many cops does it have to have a shoulder-to-shoulder line of police running that long? They had us completely surrounded. They had the roads blocked off coming to the site. What amazes me about this being the largest police operation in the history of the state of Minnesota and sending more than 600 police out to get a handful of protesters was that none of us were arrested properly for trespassing charges to stick. They kept us in jail for 36 hours, the maximum amount of time they could keep us without charging us. They had threatened us with felony charges, but when they let us out of jail, our charges were only misdemeanors. And then 90% of us had our charges dismissed because they didn't arrest us properly. And I really think that the taxpayers of Minnesota should be appalled that we entered into the largest police operation in the history of the state of Minnesota without giving any thought to how we're supposed to arrest these people.